This exists. What's up, nerdsicles? It's your boy, the OGGM, coming to you live from Site B at 8:30 in the morning on this foggy, gloomy 29th day of May. Summer is almost here, and yet where I live, it's October. Reasons. Last night, Wizards of the Coast, in their infinite wisdom, sneak peeked the cover for the new Dungeon Master's Guide in a magazine in England. Not sure why, but they did. And this is the cover. And it's good. It's good. It's not, I mean, it's got the same sort of dreamy quality that the other covers have had. I don't know why this is a thing, this sort of this faded, washed look. But and I don't know if my computer is doing it justice. Let's see if I can find a better picture of it. Let's see. Is this better? Slightly better, I think. Still like a little bit more of a close-up, I think, wouldn't we? But this is it. This is the new cover for the DMG, which is coming out supposedly in November, because we're not getting the Monster Manual to 2025. I'm not sure why we're not getting the Monster Manual to 2025. You'd think that'd be the easiest to do, with the Dungeon Master being like the second easiest. But okay, this is the cover for the new DMG as far as we know. And it features Warduke, because apparently Warduke is just in everything. He is the, Alfred Hitchcock of Dungeons and Dragons. He just shows up everywhere. Now, if you look at Warduke's character record sheet, he's not all that. He's like an 8th level fighter or something like that. It's just, he's not super special. It's just the way he dresses is why everybody loves this guy. He's got this badass helmet. He's got this badass shield. He's got enough Riz that he can pull off half armor and get away with it. I mean, look, he's got half of a suit of whatever this is on his arm. What is this attached to? Nothing. Does this mean Warduke just has a bionic arm? Is it just growing from him? Look at it, it's just hanging there. Then we've got her. I don't know who she is. Apparently she is some iconic villain named, I've got her name here somewhere. Skylla, Skylla. If anybody knows who she is, please let me know. I've never heard of her, but apparently she's someone. And then we've got something that may or may not be Venger from the D&D cartoon. And then behind them is what might be a dragon, or Venger standing on the dragon. Somebody says, the official thing says it's a Draco Lich. I don't know why it has to be that specific. It could just be anything. It could just be smoke. It could be effect of the spell. But they want us to know it's a Draco Lich. And then this is what the rear looks like, just sort of this underground, dungeony, underdark thing with statues of mind flayers for some reason, hints of things to come, perhaps. And then they're surrounded by an army of undead, which, unless she's a necromancer, really doesn't associate with any of these individuals. Some people are saying it's looking a little too dreamy. Some people are saying it's AI art. Some people are saying it's too busy. The only thing I have to say about it is, why does this cover exist, and why didn't we have this level of quality on the Player's Handbook? Just to remind you, because I'm an asshole, this was the Player's Handbook art. This very dreamy, weird Player's Handbook art that doesn't really scream D&D, and it's got this very Uncanny Valley gold dragon, and there's nothing really telling you that this is something just, wow, I have to get this. And your eye, once you see the dragon, you just can't unsee the dragon, and you just can't unsee how sort of just uncanny valley its body is. And there's nothing to let you know that this dragon's helping them. What this cover tells you is these guys are fighting you because they're all facing you, and the dragon's sneaking up behind them, ready to eat them. People have complained that it doesn't have any human white males on the cover. You know, people have complained about her. Why, you know, who is she? What is she? Why is she wielding a staff? There's like, we don't know who this is. This person, none of these really, you know, none of these individuals really look like they belong here. This very dreamy, vaguely, could it be AI art style? And then, of course, just the disturbing dragon. If you don't remember why it's disturbing, let's just go that this is its neck, and then right into the shoulders, and then there's an arm over here. But it's, yeah, I don't get it. It's a very confusing, very busy Player's Handbook cover. And considering the Player's Handbook is the most important book of the three, you don't really need the DM's guide. You don't really need the Monster Manual. I mean, those are both things that help, but, you know, consistently, this is the first book you need. You want your cover to sell. And in my opinion, it just doesn't. This cover doesn't do anything for me. And the alternative cover, which is much better, but it's for a different game. It's not D&D. And then we know, because we saw the other art, that there is better art that was available to them. And now we see this from this article from England, of all places. And we're like, this is a better cover. We've got Warduke, even if you don't know who he is, he just looks badass. We've got this person who apparently is from a D&D adventure, but I don't recognize, and is an iconic villain. And then we got may or may not be Venger from the cartoon. It kind of looks like Venger. Definitely, you could say it looks like Venger. I thought the horn was on the other side. But then, you know, you could argue it's not, I suppose. But I think they're saying it's Venger, so whatever. It is Venger. It's not Venger Satanis. It's just Venger from the D&D cartoon. And for some reason, he's in the background for these three individuals who I'm not sure why they'd ever work together. And they're surrounded by an army of undead. And there's something behind them that Wizards claims is a Draco Lich. But you just look at the picture, you're like, okay, it's vaguely dragon-shaped. It's kind of cool. Is Venger standing on its nose? Is the stairway its mouth? Or is it an actual dragon? Or is it just an effect of his spell because there's no skull, or just have the two eyes, which makes me think it's, you know, just some spell Venger's casting or whatever. A lot of people have already said it's AI art, that the skeletons don't look AI art. None of, you know, Warduke wouldn't hang out with undead. Venger, I don't remember ever using undead. He tended to use humanoids, lizardmen, and stuff like that. And I guess she's a necromancer, because that would only explain why the undead are there, or why they're underground, or what the three of them are doing together, you know. I mean, Warduke did show up in the cartoon, so they could know each other. I don't know enough about her to remember if she showed up in the cartoon, but, you know, Warduke's got Riz, so yeah, maybe she'd be following him. I don't know if Warduke and Venger would work together, you know, but whatever. It's a good cover. It's a good cover. Why didn't we have this cover for the Player's Handbook? If I didn't know the first thing about Wizards of the Coast and I wanted to learn about this game and I saw this game on this picture on the cover of the Player's Handbook, I'd be intrigued. This cover captures my imagination. This cover pops. This cover tells a story. There's nothing confusing about this cover. You don't know who these people are, but you just look at them and you're like, yeah, they're probably bad guys and they just look badass and I'm scared of them. They look cool. I want to know more. Who is this guy and how is it that he's only half a suit of armor on? How is that sticking to him? Is it glue? What's going on here? Is he a cyborg? You know, is it growing on him? What's going on with this arm? Because there's just no logic behind this arm. Does it chafe? You know, who's she? She's got incredibly thin legs. In fact, she's only got one leg. AI art. And then who's this dude? I don't know who this dude is, but he looks cool. He's some evil wizard in red with wings, and he's casting some kind of spell, and he's lost. I mean, yeah, this picture sells. I don't know why we didn't go with this picture for the Player's Handbook. I mean, I'm still not going to buy it, you know, but it definitely sells. I mean, even if you already had a DM's guide and you didn't know this was a completely new thing, you'd still be like, that's a cool cover. I might get it just cause. And if you've never had a DM guide before and you saw this, you'd be like, yeah, I'll get that. It's cool. Also, they've provided us with a breakdown of what we can expect in it. Looks like most of it's going to just be fluff. Chapter 1, basic concepts. Chapter 2, advice. Chapter 3, the actual rules. Chapter 4, adventure building. Chapter 5, campaign building. Chapter 6, cosmology. You've already got a cosmology book coming out. Why do we need that? Chapter 7, the ever famous magic items, which, you know, is the main reason most people get the DM's guide. Chapter 8 is the teeny little Greyhawk that we're just very tenuous about. And then we have the appendix, which features maps, lores, a poster map of Greyhawk, appendix, stuff like that. Yeah, I think people are maybe excited about the art, the map, but I mean, I'm not going to get this. And there's nothing about this that tells me this is the 50th anniversary and it's different, but the art is cool. And I don't know why my big question again is, why didn't you go with this art for the Player's Handbook? We know there was better art. Hey, we got some questions. Got a lot of questions. So Tenker was right about the DM cover. As of now, remember this dropped in Europe. We might get a different cover here in the States. Warduke and a Bad Venger variant. Okay, sure, yeah. Testing the waters of, do we recognize these? Will this art sell? Or maybe it's testing the waters. Will people be upset when they discover this is AI art? It's not that different from 5e, then it's not needed. Exactly, yes. In regards to how different is the DM's guide to the previous DM's guide, which, you know, the previous DM's guide was 80% fluff, magic items, and a few rules that were okay, right? Also in the D&D cartoon in half plate, yeah. Warduke was in the cartoon. Warduke is always dressed like that. There's never been an explanation as to how it works. Wasn't she undead also from the quest for the Heartstone in that other book? I don't know who she is. She's got one leg, and apparently she's a wizard. She might be a necromancer. That would explain the army of skeletons. How about Venger riding his nightmare steed? Would that have been a better cover? Yeah, this cover's good, but I mean, if you did it right, if you made it just, you know, it could be a really cool, frightening, impactful cover. It depends how it would be done, but it wouldn't have to be you would have to not use this sort of dreamy style they're going for, this very washed out watercolor style. If you wanted the selling point to be this badass villain on this badass horse, it would have to just be something that really just pops. I mean, this is an awesome cover. I mean, again, it's this weird, dreamy, washed out watercolor look for some reason that they're going with, but it sells. Are you sure that's not the evil mage from the D&D cartoon that was capturing unicorns and stealing their horns? I don't know who she is. I don't recognize her. If somebody else recognizes her, let me know. The other two are instantly recognizable. I know who Warduke is. You know, if I had I'm still going to get the Warduke figure. I love Warduke. He's just so awesome. You know, who else can just pull off half a suit of plate mail on his legs and look good doing it? Doesn't look bad. Might even be sort of good. Hopefully we can see a picture of it without the writing on it. It's definitely better than the Player's Handbook art, which is the whole point. I like the alternative cover. The alternative cover Player's Handbook is nice. There's way too much going on, but it's nice. It sells a very clear image. That image is not Dungeons and Dragons. It'd be a perfect cover for a different game, but this is their take on the D&D cartoon heroes, except for Shelda. Is that her name, Shelda? There's definitely some very faint points of difference. There has to be a few points of difference between what they look like in the cartoon and what they look like now. One, to justify them being older, and two, because there's still some weird wibbly wobbly copyright stuff regards to who owns what, how much of the imagery Wizards owns, how much of the imagery Disney still owns, and how much of the imagery the original creator still owns. So if you present Warduke, which is a name Wizards can say they own, But as for the image, and associate that character with that image, but make the image just different enough that it doesn't upset Disney, you can probably get away with it. Isn't the character from the FR, I don't know who she is. If anyone knows who she is. Still a bit wrong, better, but they really need to work on their art. I wish I could draw this good. Kudos to the person who got to do this art. This is definitely a feather of their cap if they get acknowledged, and it's not AI art. On the other hand, it's Wizards, and we know how badly they treat their artists. Whoever did this, sing from the rooftops this is yours before Wizards drowns you under a stampede of legality and fires you in 6 months. It's Venger's twin. He got the other horn and serves the Draco Lich instead of Tiamat? Maybe. Should be Shadows, as that's who served Venger in the cartoon? Definitely. Olworth is invading Faerun? Maybe. This makes me wonder what their strategy is for this promotion. Wizards of the Coast seems to love using multiple arts. Yes, to alternate covers. And I don't know. Shady Dragon Inn, including Strongheart, Celia, Evil Magic User 6 level. Is that who it is? She's from the Shady Dragon Inn. Is she really iconic? Warduke, iconic. Venger, iconic. This chick, I don't know. They say she's iconic. I don't know who she is. She just looks like typical wizard, necromancer, evil druid. Nothing, token female. You will notice that they are using Warduke, who is a white male, and Venger, who is, a male. So definitely this cover is more male-orientated. I guess they heard all the complaints about it not having any white men and too many females on the previous cover. So now they want the exact opposite, and they have one very obvious white male and Venger, who's Venger, but was a white male before, he became Venger. Let's not forget that Venger used to just be a normal dude, and he was Dungeon Master's son, and Dungeon Master screwed him up so badly, he became Venger, and in order to deal with his screwed up son, Dungeon Master kidnapped a bunch of kids and Stockholm syndromed them into killing his son for him because he didn't have the balls to deal with the situation he created. Let's not forget that. Anyways, that's the cover. At least that's the cover that they dropped in Europe. Now, we could still get a different color for the American version, and we know there'll be an alternative cover. It's very weird that dropping it last night on a European media before we saw it here. Yes, I have seen that. I've seen the unofficial video ending of the series in which they finally redeem him, even though Dungeon Master, that doesn't justify Dungeon Master being the worst cartoon dad. My son's acting up. I could deal with him directly, or I don't know, I could kidnap some kids, give them ultimate powerful artifacts, send them off to kill my son, and hold over their head the ability that I won't be able to send them home until they kill my son. But actually, I could have sent them home at any point in time I wanted to. But that's not the point of this article. The point is cover. I like this cover. This is a good cover. If I didn't know the first thing about what was going on with Wizards of the Coast, this cover would make me buy this. I'm not going to buy it. I'm just aware of it. And I'd be like, hey, cool. I mean, at this point, do you need the DM's guide even for how Wizards is treating D&D? What's really going to be in the DM's guide that actually matters? Anyways, that's it for today. If you appreciate this content, let me know. If you don't appreciate this content and never want to hear me talk about Wizards of the Coast ever again, well, you know what you got to do. You got to subscribe. Remember, my promise still stands. If I hit 2,000 subs by my birthday, August 4th, I will not talk about Wizards of the Coast for an entire month, if not longer. So if you never want to hear me talk about Wizards ever again, that's the best way to do it. Until then, I'm the OG GM. Please like, please share, please subscribe. Please check out my merch, link down below. Please drive safely. It is rainy and cold and foggy, and there's hurricanes and stuff. Get off my land. And Avenger, you're still a great villain. I mean, you're no Skeletor, you're no Mumra, but I definitely rate Avenger in the top 5, right? He's no Cobra Commander, but then who is? Cobra!
Yo, check.